John Lynch, you magnificent bastard. You've done it again. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. That man is 11 Black. 11, I love a show when we have breaking news. We have breaking news tonight because the 49ers have traded for defensive tackle Osa Odighizuwa. They give a third-round pick to the Dallas Cowboys. The more I dig into this deal, the more I love it.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the best way to sum it up, right? They wanted to go get an interior person who could make a difference, especially with getting pressure. Do you know who and how many he had led the team in QB hits this season?
I don't know. I mean, I assume it's Bryce Huff?
It is. Bryce Huff had 15. Second place had 7 for 22 total, but for the top two guys. Osa had 23. He has more QB hits this past season, which, by the way, is his second season in a row with 23, than the top two guys for the 49ers in 2025. So, while no, is he going to be an all-pro? No. But he's one of those guys, he hasn't made a Pro Bowl, but he's one of those guys that he's right on that borderline where he could make a Pro Bowl at some point, but he's one of those very good starters. Just takes like a couple times more. Like if he had a couple plays where instead of a QB hit, he got the sack and he ended up with 6 sacks instead, he probably makes the Pro Bowl.
Antonio, YouTube channel member, thank you for the super chat, says Osa ranked 21st, 3rd, and 6th in total pressures between 2023 and 2025. He also ranked 12th out of 131, 11 out of 132, and 25 out of 134 in pass rush grade. There are so many numbers that are floating around, and all of them make me feel good about this trade. One of the best ones I've seen came from Eric Branch, and it's kind of complicated, so I'm going to simplify it. I'll throw it up on the screen. But for the audio listeners, here's what you need to know. Odighizuwa had more sacks, quarterback hits, and pressures than the combination of Jordan Elliott, Kalia Davis, Alfred Collins, and CJ West. And he did it in half as many pass rushing snaps. So one dude that the Niners just acquired was better than 4 dudes for the 49ers last year. That is what the 49ers have acquired. Their streak of crappy third-round picks is broken, Levin, because just put Osa as part of this year's draft class. This is a home run trade by John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, it's actually, I was on The Athletic looking at the comments to try to gauge, 1, Niners reaction, 2, Cowboys reaction. And it was kind of funny, actually, because Niner fans were mostly happy but thinking it was fair. Cowboy fans were mostly like, what the hell? They should have gotten more than this. So it's that's an indication of, yeah, the Niners got a good trade. It's a surprising one, too. Because, I mean, this is Jerry Jones in a nutshell the last 10 years. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He just gave this homegrown talent who is still in his prime, a 4-year, $80 million deal last year. So why are they trading him? Because Jerry Jones went out and acquired 2 top flight defensive tackles. And because they're swapping defensive schemes, they figured this guy would be the odd one out. So it's not that the guy did bad. It's that Jerry said, yeah, I'll pay you. Oh, wait, I'm going to keep acquiring these other guys at the same position. Oh, wait, we can't play 3 of them? I guess I better get rid of them. And that's why he got traded for a third. I think if this was not a case of the Cowboys being stuck where it's very clear they can't pay 3 defensive tackles big money, he probably gets traded for a second. Or, for instance, if this was a guy going into the last year of his contract, and so the acquiring team's probably giving him a new contract, it's probably a second-round pick.
I texted my friend RJ Ochoa, who covers the Cowboys for Blogging the Boys, and I texted him. I just said, What do I need to know? Like, why is this happening? What do I need to know about Osa Odighizuwa? And his response was, quote, he's awesome. We are dumb. That was the exact thing that he texted me. And apparently he's a very good guy too, which is always great, obviously. This is just a solid move. And yeah, it costs you a draft pick, but you are paying for certainty. The 49ers were probably going to draft a defensive tackle, and just statistically speaking, they were probably not going to be as good as Odighizuwa has been. I got another tweet on the screen. I'm going to have so many numbers thrown at you, and it's going to make you feel better and better. Odighizuwa has generated 32 pressures when double teamed since the start of 2024. That is the second most in the entire NFL, and his 9.1 pressure rate on those pass rushes when he is double teamed is the third highest in that span. And the picture that he has, that the graphic that goes along with it, the only guy that has more pressures when double teamed is Kobe Turner. Then it's Osa Odighizuwa. Vita Vea is below him. Leonard Williams from Seattle is below him. Jeffrey Simmons, who's a monster from the Titans, is below him. This is what the 49ers just added to their defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a guy that I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a Pro Bowl at some point in his career. He's a very good starter. And they're not going to be paying him huge money. They're paying him good money, but not huge money. It's $16 million year one and then 20.5 in years 2 and 3. But that's the other part of it. They get 3 years in this. Mm-hmm. If this was a third round pick for a guy on the final year of his deal, I would have still been happy. But they're getting 3 years of this. It's just it's a trade that I think frees them up a good bit when it comes to what is left to do to fix this roster.
Nick Wagner has the financial information. Odighizuwa has a $16.7 million cap hit in 2026 that's fully guaranteed. Then he had in 2027, it's a $20 million base salary, and then there's per game roster bonuses. 2028, $20 million salary, per game roster bonuses, $20.5 million cap number. There are no guarantees beyond the 2026 season as of now, so maybe they'll rework the contract. But here's the thing. The market for defensive tackles is going to go up. Those numbers are going to look even better in 2027, 2028, when the cap jumps up, when the league signs new media deals too. Again, like the more you dig into this, the more you like it. Another thing, He has only missed one game, and it came in
knock on wood. Don't do that.
In week 15 of his rookie season. If you're looking for reasons to poke holes in this thing, the only knock you could have on him is that he's not 23, but he's still, 27, going to be 28, I think, next year. This is a fantastic move.
Yeah, he's not a Nick Bosa, right? He's not a take over the game type, but he's going to have flash plays. And while he's not Bosa, he's not that far off either. He's just a B short.
Sorry, I got distracted by this comment.
You missed an awesome dad joke.
I'm sure it was so awesome.
Yeah, he's just a B short of being Bosa.
Oh, God. You said it again, too. You were so proud of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I said, his name is one of those that, it's easy to have, a chant for him because he's got so many different things. He's got the Odie. Do you want to chant Odie when he gets a sack? Do you want to chant Zua? Zua. That's an easy thing to do. And then I noticed, Osa, Bosa, you get to kind of do the same chant. So, yeah.
Well, that's good. The chant is really the most important part of this.
It is very important. Hey, we're about the fans here, right?
Well, then why are you torturing them with your terrible dad jokes?
Because some people have a sense of humor, Rob. Some people take their shoes off in the house, okay?
I have a finely tuned sense of humor. I just need some humor to let it out.
Yeah, tuned to nothing.
Stephen Duckett is the comment that distracted me. YouTube channel member says, FYI, Rob, I just left Chapman's pod to listen live here. No disrespect to John Chapman, but obviously I'm very happy to hear that. We appreciate that.
Chapman. Burn.
The thing I like about this, Yeah, you could look at the sack total, 3.5 sacks in 2025. He's a defensive tackle. You're never going to get, unless you have like a Hall of Fame defensive tackle, they don't really rack up sacks. But he had 52 pressures in 420 pass rush snaps. He is going to do the thing that the 49ers could never do last year. He's going to push the pocket up the middle, and that's going to funnel things to the edges of this defense where hopefully Nick Bosa is there and hopefully Mykel Williams is there or Bryce Huff is there if it's a third down and he's still on the team. That was always the hope for this defense. If they have that now, they did Raheem Morris a huge favor. He is one of the biggest winners after this trade.
I do think that there's one interesting aspect to it. Mykel Williams will almost definitely not be a rotate to the inside pass rusher on third downs because you're going to have Collins or West and you're going to have Osa as your defensive tackles on pass rush downs.
What if you have, see, that's interesting. Well, they want to go to 5-man fronts this year.
That's true.
So maybe that's their plan. Lynch talked about wanting to add more. So maybe they do Collins, Osa, and Mykel on the inside and Huff and Bosa on the outside.
I mean, they could get sneaky with it and, yes, have Huff on the field, but technically in a linebacker spot. Mm-hmm. But then to me, you say you have freedom on this. Read how they line up for their protections and move wherever the heck you want behind that defensive line and pick your gap to rat. You know what I mean? Just let him pick left or right side. You pick based on what you're seeing and move, after they get to the line. So that now if they want to do anything about it, they're going to have to be shifting things around after they're lined up.
The more variability, that's not really a good word. The more, variance and flexibility and disguising and just dictating to the offense sort of what that this defense can do, the better, because it was just, I always felt like it was simple and it got simpler as the year went along last year because the guys didn't know the freaking plays. They had so many injuries. They were just trying to get guys in the right spot. Raheem Morris is a guy that has shown some flexibility, some interesting tweaks, and I think this just gives him even more options. This is, again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but I absolutely love the move. He's young, he's healthy, he's good. This isn't like, oh, well, we're hoping that now that he's here with Nick Bosa and he's surrounded by other guys that he'll be really good. Nope, he's really good already. And even if he is just what he has been, this is a really good move. And if he does happen to get any boost from playing in this defense, great, then he'll be even better.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting thing now. Like I said, I do think it frees them up a good bit in the draft. Because now you don't feel the need going into the draft. Got to get a wide receiver. Got to get a defensive lineman, right? Now you can take the defensive lineman out of it. So you can say, all right, a receiver probably in the first or second round, but it's kind of just how the board falls, where you want to pick that receiver. And you can go best player available if you want on the other pick because you're not needing – you don't have like a desperation. Like what would be the other thing that you feel like, they should really do that now that they don't have a third round pick. You don't want to wait till the fourth. I don't feel like there is one. Obviously, offensive line, you would still like to get a guard, but as we saw, you could take a guard in the second round, and they still may redshirt as a rookie on this team.
Or you could find a starting guard in round 4. That is not out of the question. If you're watching the stream right now, the Niners traded the pick 92 in the draft. So they have 6 picks left, 1 in round 1, 1 in round 2, and then 4 in round 4. And that is it. Niners are trying to do us a solid with the live draft show, I think, getting us out of Dodge early. Do you think that this means the 49ers are definitely trading down in round 1 because they have, so few picks?
I wouldn't say definitely. I don't think they will stay just because, hey, we're here, we want a guy. I do think that it makes it more likely they trade down. But if somebody slides and is sitting there that they had him maybe going in the teens, then yeah, I think they'll stay put. I don't think they feel like they have to trade down, but they're definitely open to doing it. I do find it interesting because I do think one of the underrated values in the draft by teams is those last like 4 or 5 picks in the first round, because you're still getting the option of a fifth year, but it's not a contract that's immediately expensive.
That's a good point. Rare for you. Nicely done.
Oh, yeah. So rare you say it every show.
That's a lie. I like this comment. Golden Niner says, I just don't want to see the Seahawks getting first downs on 3rd and 17 anymore. You would like to think that the Niners would have a little more fight in them, especially when the team runs a draw or a toss. I think it was actually a toss on that particular play. But
I mean, there is one. It was kind of a storyline going into this stuff, early in the offseason that it hasn't come to fruition. Renardo Green at this point, I don't see them like they would have moved him by now, right? Wouldn't you think that they would have moved him and tried to find some kind of veteran at corner and then maybe still drafted a guy, but they wouldn't have just stood pat as they are. So I feel like you've seen what their priorities are. They clearly came in and they said, we need an interior pass rush and we need a wide receiver that is more reliable. Not necessarily, we're getting this guy with upside who we think could emerge, right? We're getting a veteran guy that we know what he is.
We'll talk about the wide receiver in a minute because I think you and I disagreed when we talked about this a little while ago. I love this tweet from Kyle Posey. Only 3 players had more quarterback knockdowns last year than Osa Odighizuwa. 3 players in the entire NFL. We were so frustrated with the pass rush this year. Kyle also points out that he's 93rd percentile wingspan and 86th percentile hand size.
Yeah, so that wingspan, Barrows actually put it in the article on The Athletic announcing this trade. He is 6'1" and I think 3/4 inches. His wingspan is 7 foot. So it's more than a 10-inch discrepancy between the two.
He's the Brandon Aiyuk of defensive tackles.
I always think of Ben Wallace when I think of somebody that has arms that are so ridiculously long that they don't fit the body.
And KP adds at the end of the tweet, this is a move the 49ers needed to make to keep pace with the top teams in the NFC for a 3rd-round pick. He's worth being wrong about. Here's the thing. He's not like a 1-year wonder, though. It's not, to me, it's not
23 the year before.
Right. Like I don't look at this as like a hope trade. This is just, hey, we just traded for a really good player at this position.
Yeah. I mean, he's played 5 years in the NFL. All 5 years he's had double-digit quarterback hits. The Niners had one guy last year on the roster get double-digit quarterback hits. And like some of the things there, the quarterback hits are great, but it's not like that's the only thing. His pressures are at an elite level for defensive tackles. He's in the top 5 for defensive tackles in terms of pressures. So while the sacks are not there, I mean, this is, even if you've never seen him play, you can just look at the stats and have a pretty good idea of what he is. He's a guy that almost gets there a lot. He affects the quarterback and may speed up the quarterback, but he is not going to get the sack all that often. Now, pair him with somebody like Nick Bosa, and I think that does change things a little bit. Because even with Parsons, yes, Parsons obviously was a great pass rusher who he played next to for 4 years, right? But Parsons is a speed rusher. He is not I'm taking these guys and just moving them out of my way like a Nick Bosa does. So I feel like the guy he's going to line up next to will be a better match to give him better opportunities than what he's played with today.
Now, LEK asks, is this guy a 3rd down only? You guys aren't showing his run stopping numbers.
His PFF grade on run was 58.3, which is still above average.
He can't be any worse than what the 49ers had last year. Let's be honest. Like, I mean, unless he's a god-awful run stopper, to me, it's worth it. Even if he is a god-awful run stopper, it's worth it to have the pass rush aspect of it. And now I'll have to do some more research and figure out how good he is against the run. But
let's put it this way. Even if he's terrible against the run. He is what Javon Hargrave was supposed to be. Which, by the way, him still getting paid 10 plus million a year is I
He
do
got
not
cut today,
understand
I
teams.
think.
He got cut yesterday and he signed a 2-year, like $22 million contract today.
Oh, who did he sign with? I didn't see that.
Packers, I think it was.
Wow. How do you like that? I'm trying to check really quick anything about the run stopping, but I'm not seeing anything.
I saw his PFF grades and he was like 89 pass rush and 58. Which, you take those with a grain of salt. I'm not a huge PFF grade person, but like the way I've always described, including many times on this show, PFF grades, you don't take them as verbatim. You don't look necessarily at the rankings, but you can take them as is this guy good or not? And his grades show he's good.
Andre Garibay says he's better than what we got, which I completely agree. Yeah, this is just flat out good news. And I was a little disappointed that, the Niners made the move for Evans and then they were kind of like nibbling around, kind of just adding edge into the roster, like depth guys. But this is a significant move. We heard they were sniffing around it. I love that they got it done. I don't care if they're giving a 3rd round pick to the Cowboys. This is a move that is a move that you make when you think your team has a chance to be pretty good, right? Like this is not we're building for the future. This is we're building for right now. You put him in the middle of this defense. Again, I know the caveats are there, right? Bosa and Warner got to get healthy, but damn, man, this unit is shaping up to look pretty good potentially.
The timing of this trade does make me think, I wonder if the Niners were negotiating with a free agent out there and they needed to see if that worked out before they knew they could commit the cap space to this trade. And so, for instance, the big signing of the day, did Trey Hendrickson getting signed make them say, okay, we have the money to afford this guy now. Let's go ahead and do that trade. You know what I mean? Like that's what it reeks of to me. The reason why this wasn't known and this kind of came out of nowhere and it wasn't during the tampering period and all that, because it's not like this guy being on the market was a big secret. It reeks of the Niners wanted to hold on to see if they were going to spend money elsewhere.
What I had heard was that they were more interested in interior defensive guys than edge guys. I don't know. I mean, the Max Crosby thing was just incredible. Literally, Jay and I were just about to go live yesterday. And just as I was clicking live, he said, the Max Crosby trade is off. And I was like, wait, are you making this up? Like, I had to double check it really quick. That threw a lot of things up for grabs. But good on the Niners for making this move, addressing a huge need in a major way. The defensive line is so much better. And I liked, we were talking about the PFF grades for Osa, and Terradome points out, whatever you think of his run stopping grade, CJ West and Alfred Collins got 27.9 and 27.7. So Osa's grade is twice as good as theirs. So obviously that's an improvement.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see now what happens with CJ West and Alfred Collins in terms of rotation, which one of them gets the priority. I would assume it's Alfred Collins if they're both healthy. Alfred Collins would be the one that's technically the starter. But it'll be interesting to see, like, those two are now definitely fighting for one spot.
Which, I mean, to start, yes, but
they're going to rotate, but one of them will get more than 50% of the snaps and the other one won't.
Yeah, and I think Collins will probably be that guy if he's healthy. But it's not like quarterback. They're all going to play. Like, don't worry. This is not going to stunt anybody's development. Like, I'm not worried about that at all. I saw, what's his name? The film guy. Oh, geez, this is terrible.
Which film guy? There's a lot of them.
Greg Cosell say that he thinks that this is sort of an indictment of Alfred Collins and CJ West. I don't think it is at all. I don't think you can never have too many good defensive linemen, especially interior defensive linemen. I think it's just deepening the lineup. I think, when the 49ers were at their best, and we saw with Seattle last year, the best defensive fronts come at you in waves. They're rotating guys in and out. They're fresher. They're just able to sort of be at their best for longer. That's what the 49ers have always wanted to build. That's what they had at one point. They're trying to build that up again. This is how you do that. You just keep adding to the lineup. Everybody else has a little less responsibility. They have to share a little less of the burden, which makes everybody better.
And I think it's important to note that, one, they've lost a lot of the depth at that defensive tackle position. Elliott's gone now. And it's also, you don't want to go into the season with two guys who showed flashes saying, those are our two starters, and we think both of them are going to blossom, and you'll see this next. That's not, you don't want to go into a season betting both of your starting defensive tackles are guys who they'll put it together this season in their second year. No, that's not a recipe for success for a contender. You need to have one good guy and then other guys that are promising.
I agree. If you get one of those two, home run. If you happen to get both, even better. Like, you have to, what do we always say, right? Hope for the best, plan for the worst. Yeah. That's what the 49ers are doing. Shout out to Jesse Morris, 1486, new YouTube channel member. You get a fist pump. Thank you very much for hopping aboard. If you want to become a YouTube channel member, it's less than $3 a month. You get custom emojis, which I just added a bunch of new ones, membership badges, priority comment response as well. All right, let's shift gears a little bit, Levin, because the other big move that the 49ers made, of course, was bringing in Mike Evans. Now, I should point out, it's not official, and I feel like in this Max Crosby era, you should point that out because it's technically not official. It hasn't been announced by the team yet, but it looks like Mike Evans is coming to town. 49ers got him for a song, basically $16 million, which is less than what Juwan Jennings was asking the team for at the start of last year. You and I disagreed. I was on board with the Evans thing when we discussed it as a hypothetical. Now that it has happened, Levin, where do you stand?
At what they paid him, I'm okay with it. I think there's some chance that he has one season left, kind of like an Anquan Bolden type of situation where when the Niners got Bolden, he was kind of on the downturn. You could tell he was aging and you didn't think that he was necessarily a number one receiver anymore. And then he came and he showed, no, he still had something left in the tank. Changing teams rejuvenated him. I wouldn't bet on that. But I think the big thing is they got him at a price that I think his floor still makes it a successful signing. His floor is what Jennings was last year. 700 or so yards and, close to 10 touchdowns. I think that's his floor. So do you pay $16 million for that, knowing that there's an extra benefit here? Because the thing that Jennings didn't affect the defense in terms of they weren't going to gravitate towards him. They weren't going to be like, we got to make sure we can't let him, beat us or anything like that. There will be some gravitational pull to Evans when he's running around. So there's an extra effect there. But I think his low side is, 700 yards, 7 touchdowns, something like that. And I would pay $16 million for that, knowing that he is going to be a major effect come the red zone. Because even if he doesn't get the red zone touchdowns, it's kind of like the Christian McCaffrey thing, where he may not get the red zone touchdowns like McCaffrey wasn't this past year, but he is affecting that defense in a big way because they were obsessed with, we got to stop that guy.
They desperately needed a red zone target. He absolutely is that. As Chris, Mr. 49er says, you can't coach 6'5". The wide receiver room did not have a ton of height. Mike Evans provides that. Most of his touchdowns last year were red zone touchdowns. That's absolutely fine. If that's all he provides, it's still going to help. I think he could still be really good. I saw this. I keep throwing it up because it just makes me smile. The Niners now employ 2 of the top 3 wide receivers in separation win rate in the NFL. Mike Evans at number 2 and Ricky Pearsall at number 3.
I'm with Jason on that. There is no way Mike Evans had that separation win rate.
Well, I think Jay thought it was higher. Jay's
No.
Mike Evans is his favorite player.
Yeah, but he literally said, if you watch Mike Evans, that was never, he came, Jason said he came into the league as a guy that wasn't a great separation guy. He was a guy that was going to win late, as Jason put it, meaning when the ball's coming, he knows how to wait to put up his hands and catch it at the last minute, high point the ball. And because he's 6'5", you're not going to be able to beat that when he has that skill. He's not an elite separation guy. He was, I think, third worst in the NFL, according to Next Gen Stats, which is an objective stat, in terms of average separation on his targets. So how did he have a separation win rate that's number 2? I'm not saying that he's bad. I'm just saying there's no way he's that elite at separating. That's never been his thing.
Well, all I know is that's what's on the screen. I'm assuming this person is not making it up. Mike Urtaza is the executive producer of Lombardi's YouTube channel. So I guess it's possible he's making it up. No,
he has the second best separation win rate according to Lombardi Film Study.
I didn't read this comment yet. Kevin says he's the best receiver Brock has ever had. Evans is going to go off. It's an interesting thought. I mean, Brandon Aiyuk in 2023 was pretty damn good, but I mean, that's the argument, really. Mike Evans could be really, really good in this offense. He's going to be motivated. He's going to be a mentor for the young guys in the room. I absolutely love the move, especially at the price. I just think it's going to be, what do they say, hand in glove? Is that the expression? Now, I still think they need to draft a wide receiver.
You go the Ace Ventura expression similar to that.
Yeah, well, that's a tough...
like a glove.
God, between the impressions and the dad jokes, you're making a good day very difficult. But no, this is good. I still think they need to draft somebody. I would, especially now that they don't have any picks in the third round, sure would be nice to move Mac Jones and get back in around 3. Doesn't look like they're going to do that. Diana Rossini had a tweet yesterday about the teams that have inquired about Mac have been told that the price is astronomical. That was the word she used.
I'm sure that means first round pick.
Whatever it means, with this trade for Odighizuwa now, I really feel like the 49ers need to move Mac Jones.
Yeah, I don't see it, but I think Mac Jones is here to stay.
Sure looks like
this next season. I think they look at it as, I mean, if somebody wants to blow us away, we'll do it, but otherwise we're okay waiting on a third round comp pick. Now, it is important to note the reason why they got 3 fourth round picks. God, that's a mouthful. 3 fourth round picks. Well, the reason why they got 3 comp ones.
Oh, yeah.
Is because they didn't do anything in free agency last year. Because that's half the formula is, what did you lose in terms of value of contracts going out the door and how much they played on their new team versus how much did you spend in free agency and how much did they play? Well, let's see. Farrell didn't play, and he was our most expensive free agent.
The thing with Mac, though, is if there's no market for him now, you would think there'd be less of a market for him next year because the quarterback class is
injuries happen.
Yes, that's fair. We don't know. But I'm saying like a third round comp isn't necessarily guaranteed. It depends on the contract that he signs. So we'll have to wait and see. But I agree. I think it looks like he's going to be around next year. C. Deasy says, let's just hope the substation doesn't take Osa Odighizuwa out.
Solak went there on when he was talking about the Mike Evans contract that, you can flush that whole narrative that, people won't go to the 49ers because of the substation. You got a guy coming off of hamstring injuries. Yeah.
Well, it's possible the Niners offered the most money. I would find that.
I doubt it.
Leave, but
not with the way like Dobbs got right at 20 million without without incentives getting them to it. I think that's fair. I find this free agent year extremely weird. Because there's like a lack of, that guy got paid as expected or as deserved, or however you want to put it. There's a few that are like, whoa, that is way higher than it should be. Linderbaum, Pierce being the primary too. But also, I think Phillips getting $30 million a year is insane. But it goes from that to, that was a little bit less than I thought. Dobbs got a little bit less than I thought. Evans got a little bit less than I thought. A lot of the guys, Malik Willis got a little bit less than I thought. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird year where there's outliers that are crazy high, and then a lot of the other ones are lower than you would have thought.
The Linderbaum one is he got 50% more than the highest paid center in the league. That one is crazy. I like this comment. For God and Glory asks, why haven't we cut Brandon Aiyuk yet? It's interesting.
Incorrect way to phrase that question. The question is, why cut Brandon Aiyuk?
Coach Yak tweeted that Adam Schefter said Aiyuk is not expected to be released by the 49ers anytime soon. Adam gets the sense the Niners are in no hurry to release Brandon Aiyuk and could try to flip him for a draft pick during next month's draft. If you're the Niners and your plan is to cut him with a post-June release anyway, which has been reported, why not wait through the draft? I mean,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why you say, why cut him at this point?
Unless you want the
they
money.
They owe him nothing. So it's not like you're going to do him a favor.
Unless you want the money off your books now. That's the only
thing. Well, that's what I said. I think there's been a lack of reporting on that side. The Niners have a very strong case to say we don't owe him anything because he abandoned ship. You know what I mean? Like the contract is voided, essentially. So I do wonder if technically that's what has happened. You know what I mean? That the Niners know they can go that route when the time comes. So they're just kind of sitting and waiting to see if they can get a draft pick. And if they can't get a draft pick, then when they do release him, they'll release him with saying, with essentially saying, no, his contract was void.
I have no idea how to, honestly, like I haven't been able to predict the outcome of the Brandon Aiyuk thing for quite a long time now.
Like I said, they could go after his signing, but I mean,
if
I don't think they will. But if they wanted to, they have a legitimate and almost a very high probability of winning an argument to claw back most of that signing bonus.
The crazy thing, though, is like it's reported that like he's not showing up or he wasn't showing up to rehab and stuff. It's like, well, then is anybody going to risk trading for him for a guy that's coming off a devastating knee injury that turned his knee into meatloaf and now he's missing rehab? Like, you're going to give up a pick for that guy? But I mean, whatever.
They got nothing to lose. Is the point. Like, there's nothing to lose waiting.
It was also reported that basically like it's a done deal. He's going to Washington. It's just a, like a formality that he gets cut. Be fascinating to see if there's a team out there that just says, hey, you want a 6th round pick for Brandon? And if you're the Niners, you're like, hey, why not? Right? Like, great, we'll do it.
Or, I forget which one of these players that was reported as getting released and then ended up traded. I can't remember if it was Geno or one of the other ones.
Rashawn Gary.
It was a 7th rounder and a 6th rounder. You know what I mean? Like they gave up a 6th rounder and they got a 7th rounder back. So it's close to as little draft compensation as you can get in a trade.
Whatever it is, anything is better than nothing. All right, let's go through a couple of the other moves that the 49ers have made. Obviously, less significant than the Osa Odighizuwa move, but nonetheless, moves they have made that I haven't really talked to you about. What do you think of the move for the offensive lineman, Toth, from the Philadelphia Eagles, who supposedly has experience at guard and center? A guy that came from the service academy, I believe, and now he's potentially competing to be the left guard for next year.
I mean, it can't be a bad move because there's very little investment there. I like that he has experience at multiple positions, but it reeks to me as this is a guy that we're getting for depth because he can cover a lot of positions as a backup. So to me, I don't really care. He's almost definitely a backup.
The Niners got 2 backup offensive linemen. They also, after the Mike Evans deal, got Verdarian Lowe, who's their swing tackle. So they have a swing tackle now, and they have a guy that can play guard and center on the interior. Those were both needs for the 49ers. They filled them. I have no idea if Brett Toth is any good. He's 29 years old. He's hung around for a little bit. Okay. but they needed depth on the offensive line. Apparently, he'll be in the mix if they, don't draft anybody highly. So, all right, like I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about this guy, but at least they're doing something. They're not just sitting and waiting and like, well, we got to draft everybody to fill all the rest of our needs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear that they have essentially the depth at this point on the offensive line, and it's just they're going to draft somebody probably with one of those 4th-round picks at a guard, and they're going to have a big competition to see who's the best.
I certainly would like that. Have a little competition. I feel like they don't have a lot of those. They kind of decide who they want it to be, and then they let it be. Like, just get a bunch of dudes and let them battle it out in training camp in the preseason. God knows we need something to watch in the preseason.
Don't get your hopes up. Kyle's not going to give you anything to watch.
The other move, kind of a minor move, Garrett Wallow back in at linebacker. Depth guy that could start in a pinch, as we saw last year. Special teams guy. Fine.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's one thing that's still needed on the roster. Speaking of special teams, they need a return guy, but it's possible to get that in the draft. That would be my guess, is that they'll either find somebody for essentially the vet minimum who has return experience out there, but isn't going to bring anything else to the table, or they're just going to draft a guy that they know can do return duties, and if he brings anything else, cool.
Yeah, Sky Moore going to the Packers. I got to tell you, as a guy that watched the 49ers just languish with these putrid returners for years, 1 year, I felt like in my career, the only time in my fandom that the 49ers had a good returner before this year was Ted Ginn with the Harbaugh 49ers. Other than that, they have never had anybody that could provide any juice as a returner. It was so nice to have Sky Moore this year. He was so good, they stopped kicking to him. He bailed them out a bunch of times. I hope that they get somebody in there that can give us a little. It's like Isaac Arendo gave you nothing as a returner. He was awful. I hope that they put somebody back there that's got a little something, because it was such a luxury to have. There were a couple times where the offense was kind of sputtering. All of a sudden, Sky Moore returns a kick to the 35 or the 40 and gives you a little jolt and a little life on offense. I need that, man. I liked it last year. I got addicted to it.
I mean, I would be okay signing Deebo Samuel as a return specialist only. You're not allowed to play wide receiver, but you can return kicks and punts.
I don't even want him in that.
I know. But yeah, it is interesting. It scares me a bit if they are going into this saying, we'll find a returner in the draft. Why? Because we had multiple years in a row that, this guy was a really good returner in college, and they couldn't do it. Dante Pettis was one of the best college punt returners of all time, and he sucked in the NFL at doing it.
Filthy Casual does point out Junior Bergen was drafted to be a returner. He's still around, technically, so they could give him another shot if they want to. Anthony Nagatani, YouTube channel member, says, I will not accept your John Taylor and Dexter Carter slander. Dexter Carter stunk, man. That was the guy I was thinking of when I was talking to all these bum-ass 49ers returner. Dexter Carter was just like a guy that was there. John Taylor did some things, to be fair to John Taylor. There was another thing I wanted to get to. Kicker update. Eddie Piñeiro back in the fold. 4-year contract. Come on down. Do you like it?
It's actually surprisingly cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You may look at it and think it's an expensive contract. I believe it's like right around the bottom of the top 10 in terms of average annual value. Like, he had the type of season that he probably could have gotten around top 5 money if he had really shopped himself. So it's kind of surprising. Now, I think he was smart to sign it because Aubrey is out there. So Piñeiro was going to be a kicker that had to sit and wait, for his market to develop. So why not come back to where everything went? And I do think kicker is a position where if you have a place where it's going well, don't mess with it. It's not worth the extra $500,000 a year, because it is one of those positions where a change of scenery can ruin you or make you.
And look, he may not. I'm sure he's going to miss more than one kick next year. He was exceptionally good last year. The only kick
technically he missed what 4 kicks because he missed 3-point afters.
Yeah, he did miss some PATs. He always has missed PATs in his career, which is weird. Like, dude, just pretend it's a field goal. But anyway, he's going to miss more than one kick next year, more than likely. But he was still really good. He's the 4th highest paid kicker by guarantees, but only the 18th by total value and 13th by per year average. Great move by the 49ers. They didn't mess around. They got it done. Welcome back, Eddie. I think he liked playing in San Francisco also. He liked the vibe of the team. You could tell he kind of fit in. They do need a punter, however.
Yeah, that's true.
And
they could draft one. They got 4 4th-round picks.
They better not. They've already drafted a punter in the 4th round. Just signed one. Apparently, they were going for Cameron Johnston, but it was between the Steelers and the Niners, and he opted to go to Pittsburgh. So they still need one. I don't think Thomas Morstead is coming back. I think if he was coming back, they would have signed him already because they don't want to ever have to think about special teams. So the fact that they are looking at other people means I think that he's moving on. He was not that great last year anyway, but they do need, that is one of their needs is punter. But again, I agree with you. Please don't draft. Don't draft one.
It is interesting. I mean, this is the best way to sum up kind of how cheap this deal really is. The salary cap has risen about 30% in the last 3 years total. And yet he is making less than Robbie Gould did in the final year of his deals.
Interesting.
So, significantly higher salary cap, yet he's making less than what they were paying.
Let me ask you this question because I just saw a tweet from Matt Barrows talking about how the Niners missed on John Franklin Myers. Would you rather have Osa Odighizuwa and one less 3rd-round pick, or would you rather have John Franklin Myers and a 3rd-round pick?
Remind me what Myers signed for. I can't quite remember.
Honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember.
I think it was similar to what we're going to owe. I think it was 4 years, $80 million. I could be wrong.
Let me see if I can find it.
So my point is, I think it's pretty similar in terms of cost. I would rather have John Franklin Myers. I think the two players are pretty equal in terms of ability. One of them costs a 3rd-round pick to get, while costing similar money, on the salary cap.
So, and I think John Franklin Myers is older, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's like 30.
He got $42 million guaranteed from the Titans.
That's guaranteed. 3 year what?
3 year, $42 million guaranteed, $63 million overall.
Right, so just over 20. So, and this Osa is going to be 16 and a half, 20 and a half, 20 and a half. So pretty similar cost. It is, well, I mean, I guess that's the one benefit to Osa over Franklin Myers is if it doesn't work out, Osa has this next year guaranteed and that's it. Whereas Franklin Myers got 2 years worth guaranteed.
Right. I did not realize his pass rushing was so good though. Like that's what really, like, as I was reacting to this and reading what people were putting online, I was like, damn, it's rare to have an interior defensive lineman that can affect the quarterback that much. It is something that has been sorely, sorely needed for the 49ers. And bam, they do it. I think this probably is like the last of their big moves. I can't see them doing anything else. They've got about $10 million in cap room left right now, but that doesn't include getting rid of Brandon Aiyuk. That doesn't include restructuring with Trent Williams, which that's the last thing, I guess, on their to-do list before the draft. Maybe they could, they definitely could free up more if they renegotiate with Nick Bosa. That won't be an easy negotiation either. But they can do some stuff if they want to. But I think this is probably the capper in terms of acquisitions.
Yeah, play the graphic and we'll do the hot take because it's right along those lines.
Levin's hot takes.
So my hot take is they're not going to spend more than $5 million on a guy. I think they're probably done in free agency other than like bargain hunting vets who can be backups. If somebody like Joey Bosa's market doesn't develop and they want to do a 1-year deal for $6 million or something, I could see them pushing past $5 million a tiny bit. But I think they're done in free agency. This, the Evans and the Osa deal pretty much ties up their cap because, yes, like you said, they could create some cap space. But what do we know about this team? Because they've done it literally every single year. They want to roll over money. And with Purdy getting expensive starting next year, they need to roll over money. So I don't see them spending money. They have their draft picks that they're going to have to sign. So that's going to take up what's left on the salary cap. So any deals that they do in terms of restructures to create cap space, that's the amount that's going to get to roll over. So I don't see them doing anything big. I would be surprised if there's any like starting quality guy left coming in.
Well, first of all, how dare you? I won't have any Brock Purdy slander on the show. His cap hit for 2026 is $24 million. For 2027, it's $30.8 million. By quarterback numbers, that's not that bad.
Well, no, but it's pushing past 30. That's expensive in terms of, it's not expensive in relation to quarterbacks. It's expensive in terms of the percentage it's taking of your cap hit, and you need to have cap space there. Plus, you've got guys that eventually the bill has to come due because somebody like Trent Williams has a huge dead cap hit coming the moment he leaves this team because of all these void years. You're going to have Kittle is in a similar boat. Warner is in a similar boat. Bosa is in a similar boat. They've kicked the can down the road using these restructures and void years. Those void years will come due on these guys in due time, and it's going to be important for them to make sure they get spread out too. That's the thing that scares me. What happens if Williams decides I'm retiring and that dead cap bill comes due, and at the same time you have somebody like Kittle that is a surprise retirement or something like that, where you get multiple of those suddenly hitting at the same time, and now you got $60 million in a dead cap hit, and you're like, what the hell? Like, that's what worries me, is that if two of these dead cap hits on the void years come due in the same year, it really would screw the Niners.
Trent Williams has a $38 million cap hit next year right now. He has a void year in 2027 with a $28 million cap hit. Oof. But look, the cap's also going to go up, so we'll see. Michelle and I did a whole segment on Brock Purdy's deal and just how people act like it's a problem. He's taken up 7.4% of the cap in 2026 and 9.4% of the cap in 2027.
Which will end up being about 8% after the jump.
Right. His deal is not the problem. There are other contracts on the 49ers that are a much, much bigger problem for them. It is not. They did an excellent job structuring.
Nick Bosa's contract is the biggest problem for the team.
Yeah, because
he's not the same guy, and he's had 2 years in a row heavily impacted by injury, because prior to the knee injury this past year, he had the hip injury that made him an above average player. Well, you're paying $30+ million a year for this guy. He's got to be a difference maker.
Bosa's cap hit this year is $41.6 million. That is 12.6% of the cap.
Are you the issue is, do you want to kick the can down the road with him again?
Right.
And turn his salary into a signing bonus? Because all that's doing is it's not changing the amount of the salary cap overall hit left on his deal. It's just saying, well, we're going to take some from this next year's cap hit and spread it out over 4 years. Well, that's adding to the salary cap hits each of the next years, including dead cap hits if you were to release them, because it's a signing bonus. That's what you have to pay when you release a guy. So I don't know that I want to do that, because if he has another injury year, you want out of that contract.
He's 29. He's got a $41.6 million cap hit this year. This is the last year of guaranteed money in his deal. His cap hit in 2027 is $52 million. So it goes up again. That would be.
It might be the last year of him.
16% of the cap. And in 2028, his cap hit actually goes back down to $42.8 million. which is just over 12% of the cap. But again, that number will go down because the cap is going to go up. So the Bosa contract is fascinating because there's a very good possibility after 3 ACL tears that he is not the same player, certainly not a player that's going to justify the numbers that he gets.
If you got it up, what is it if he is cut or traded, or just you can just do the cut? Not this year, but next year.
Next year, $30 million, $33.5 million.
So they could save almost $10 million just by cutting him next year on the salary cap.
They would save $18.5 million according to Over the Cap.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they would save $18.5 million if they cut him next year. I would say this: there's better than a puncher's chance Nick Bosa is going into the final year with the 49ers.
I think it's possible. Now, if he goes out and has 15 sacks this year, probably not, right? But if it's 9 or worse, certainly worse. But what if it's like 9.5? You really want to pay, $52 million in cap hit for 9.5 sacks?
I think some of it depends on, all right, if Michael Williams comes out and isn't, not necessarily a 12 sack guy, but if he comes out and hey, he's 8-9, he's somebody that really affects, he gets quite a few pressures, things like that, where he's a legitimate pass rush threat, then yeah, I think you say, all right, we're going to move on from Bosa and we're going to bring in a guy either as a cheaper free agent or an early draft pick to be the other pass rusher on the outside. And I think having somebody like Osa now on the inside gives you a little more flexibility to not necessarily need the Bosa going forward. So I do think I think make or break is a little too strong, but it's not far off from a make or break year for Bosa. And I do think if you're looking at how do we set ourselves up that as Purdy starts having cap hits of 50 plus million, that we can stay a contender and not have to shed a bunch of really good guys, Bosa is the best option in terms of that.
And just the fact of where he is, if he was 26 or 27, it'd be a different conversation. But he's going to be 29 this year, 30 in 2027. It's interesting. The other thing I wanted to point out real quick before we wrap up is because a lot of people after the Mike Evans signing got really mad because he's going to be 33 years old and we are supposed to get younger and faster. And that's true on the offense, but not on the defense. Alfred Collins is 24. CJ West is 23. Mike Howe is 21. Upton's 24. Lenore is 26. Renardo Green is 25. Siegel is 23. Mustafa is 23. The only old guys on the defense are Fred Warner, who's 29, and Nick Bosa, who's 28. Like, the defense is young. So people freak out over it, and Osa is young too. So yeah, they need to get younger in some spots, but not on the defense. The defense is super young.
Yeah, it's offense is, and for a world of hurt soon if they don't find guys in the draft. Because Kittle, you're looking at 3 years max, I think. Obviously, Trent Williams, probably 2 years max. Brindle, hopefully 1 year max. But Evans is, I think, 2 years max being relied on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The third year of that contract, he probably doesn't see it.
I agree.
And if he does, because the salary cap rose so much that you're not really worried about the cap hit, you're looking at a guy that, well, he might have a big game or two a season, but he's going to be a 500-yard guy.
Oh, sorry. I thought you had.
Sorry. And there's Christian McCaffrey and Juice, and the backfield is perhaps older. That might be, and that's actually an interesting. I would bet the backfield of the 49ers is the oldest in the league.
I mean, Juice is what, 34?
Yeah, and you got age 30s now for Christian McCaffrey.
It's got to be up there for sure. Hopefully you can get something out of Jordan James. Ricky Pearsall is still young. Brock Purdy is still young, but the other guys are old. Like you pointed out, McCaffrey is an old 29, 30. Juice's age doesn't, I mean, he's a fullback, so whatever, but he is 34 years old. Mike Evans is obviously 33, he's going to be 33. Kittle's at right there as well. They got to find somebody else on offense. They just have to, because like you said, they are really depending on some older guys. Now, if they can all stay healthy, obviously they could be very good. I saw a tweet from Grant Cohn who asked, how many games are all these guys going to play together this season? And my response was 8. But also, it was a group of like 5, 6 guys. So that's a lot of guys that need to be healthy.
Yeah.
The key for the Niners is going to be, are these guys able to play together, hopefully at, December, January, February? I'm sure they're going to miss time. I'm sure Mike Evans' hamstring is going to cause him to miss some games this year. You just got to hope those games are either early or in the middle of the year, and that when they're making their playoff push and hopefully their playoff run, that they're all together on the field.
Yeah. All I care about is be healthy come playoffs.
December, January, February. That's when we need you. We'll see.
Yes.
But what grade would you give this offseason so far?
I would say a solid B.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they've made a ton of great moves. They made 2 good moves that address the 2 biggest needs. But they don't have a ton of draft picks. They just got rid of one of them. And they haven't signed, you're missing the mid-grade guys to fill out the roster in free agency. They haven't gotten the 5 to 10 million guys that would give them an A. If they had found a guy that's a bargain, they got another starting caliber guy, not a great starter, but a starting caliber guy to fill at safety or something for 5 to 10 million. Then I would say it's great. Like, I got Brisker stuck in my head, but the others, Byard. If they had signed Byard for what he got, I would make this an A. You got the guy that just led the league in interceptions for, I think he got like $9 million a year.
Yeah, I thought of you when I saw that. Safeties, the market on safeties is really, for whatever reason, it's not high.
It is the most undervalued or underpaid position in the entire league.
By the way, Nick Wagner just tweeted this. One more note on the Aiyuk situation. GM John Lynch has held out hope that a trade could materialize, however unlikely that might seem, since trades can't be designated as post-June 1 like a release. If the Niners think there's a chance for a deal, they could actually wait and hang on to him for a while. Like we just talked, that's pretty much exactly what we said earlier, but nice to know we're correct. Mostly me.
I mean, Aiyuk could help the situation.
By
showing the heck up, talking, explaining himself, and alleviating concern. Like if he shows, like let's say he's on the team and he shows up and puts in a workout. Ooh, that and a video on a phone gets leaked of him running full sprints, in shape routes at the practice facility. You don't think that at that point, okay, hey, the guy is alive and he's in shape and looks to be fully recovered, running full sprint. I think at that point, maybe you could drum up some interest, but as long as he remains invisible, I don't think any team wants to touch that.
I don't think he wants that, though. I think he wants to get cut so that he can choose his next destination. He doesn't want to get traded to, wherever.
Yeah, but I think he can easily force that. If the team says, hey, we're going to trade you here, all he has to do is be like, F that until the team piss off. And the team would be like, never mind, we're going to pull Ravens here and back out.
They're never going to live that down. That is just going to be.
I mean, I don't blame them. I would much rather sign Hendrickson to a contract where he's paid less than they were going to owe Crosby, actually, and not give up 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, I know people were mad. The Ravens didn't do anything against the rules. You may not like it, but no trade can become official until the new league year began. They could have backed out of that thing for any reason that they wanted. They didn't even need to say he failed a physical. Nothing's done until it's done.
I would guess that they contacted Hendrickson first, and Hendrickson wanted 34, 35 million, and they're like, well, we're at 30, so we're out. And they ended up trading for Crosby. And after that trade came, Hendrickson's team went, well, hold on, that 30 million is still the highest and probably not going to get beat. And they reached out and said, well, we would sign for 30 million, and the Ravens backed out so they could do it. That would be my best guess of what happened.
Good for them. Like,
yeah,
they played the field. They did the right thing. Like, now they're claiming Eric DeCosta is their GM. He's claiming that they actually wanted both Crosby and Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, get the heck out of here.
You could have had that if you just passed it. If you just passed the physical, you could have had both.
We wanted to spend 60 plus million every single year for the next 3 years. No.
I think that they did. If I was a fan of the Ravens, I'd be like, we played the market perfectly. We wanted an elite pass rusher. We got one, and we got to keep 2 first-round picks, and we didn't break a single league rule. Great job by us. That would be my take.
Yeah, and fans of all other teams other than Raider fans just go, ha, it's the Raiders.
I actually think the Raiders have had a pretty good offseason before this happened. They've been making some good moves, but
they've been signing some big names. I wouldn't call paying Linderbaum an insane amount a good move.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the other offers were. It seems like it was way high, but they have the cap space. Who the hell else did they pay?
Well, that's what I think that's the underrated aspect to it. It's by the time Linderbaum's contract is done, guess what? Mendoza would just be starting his second contract. If Mendoza works out, they're looking at, okay, we have 3 to 4 years of a cheap quarterback. Probably 4 because the first year of the new contract wouldn't be expensive.
Right.
So they have 4 years. If he doesn't work out, they have more than 4 years because they would still have to go find a guy after they decide Mendoza's not it. So knowing that, you can kind of overspend this offseason because those contracts will be off the books by the time you have to pay a quarterback.
And maybe they had to pay a Raiders tax too, right? Like, hey, you're the Raiders. You've been a dumpster fire forever. We'll come there, but you got to add a little sweetener to it. And they did. It wasn't that long ago. The 49ers, well, I guess it was long ago now, but back in the day, the 49ers vastly overpaid at a free agent position for a player. And everyone was like, how could you spend that much more than the leader at that position? The Kyle Juszczyk contract, that's what that people were like, wait, you're paying a fullback. What? That's way more than the top fullback was getting. But it didn't matter because the 49ers had the cap room to do it, and they thought this guy was important for their system. Clint Kubiak is the Shanahan system guy. The center is a very important position in that system, and he went out and made sure they got their guy. So,
yeah, I think there were 3 contracts right away for the regime that were along those lines: Juice, Richburg, and Pierre Garçon. Those were the 3 we're overpaying to get some freaking talent in this building.
Because they were so disgusted with the current state of the roster. Thankfully, we are not in those days anymore. That's going to do it for this edition of the show. Thank you, everybody. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if this is your first time checking us out. Thank you very much. Please come back. I promise you will like what you see. Tomorrow, we're going to have a Mike Evans and an Osa Odighizuwa film breakdown with Johnny Dell. He texted me. He was like, damn, I just got through all the Evans stuff. I thought I was done for the day. You will have a breakdown of the new toys on the channel tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Plus, we have the NFC West mixtape. There's obviously a ton of NFC West news to talk about with Dan Viens as well. So plenty of more good stuff coming up on the channel. Perfect time to hop aboard if you haven't done so already. Levin, thanks for joining me on this crazy day. I'll talk to you next week.
If you want to break down the new toys, you could call it Toy Story.